Welcome. Today we'll be working on horse stance, followed by basic blocking. That would include the 4 basic hard blocks: upward block, inward block, outward block, and downward block. By themselves, they take a little bit of practice to get down, but when you mix them together, they can be a little bit tricky. So we're going to take this slow, and I want you to follow along as best you can. So first, horse stance. A horse stance is not terribly wide. It's about as wide as your shoulders, maybe a little bit more. And it should look like you're riding on a horse, thus the name. So go ahead and step your feet out about shoulder width, maybe slightly wider. Okay. And I want you to bend your knees like you're sitting down. Try to have your toes facing forward, not out at an angle like this. This is actually a different type of stance. So have your toes facing forward, slightly wider than shoulder width. Bend your knees, and make sure that your knees are over your toes, not in and not out too far either, over your toes. The next thing I want you to pay attention to is your posture. I want you to push your hips forward slightly this way and pull your shoulders back at the same time so that you're arching your chest forward. Everything should be upright and straight. Your toes facing forward, knees over your toes, back straight, have good posture. Very good. Typically in a horse stance, we're going to chamber our hands this way when we're doing any practicing in class this way. And then from here, we're going to practice our basic blocks. And we're going to do one at a time. We're going to do upward block first, starting with your right arm. My left arm, your right arm. So you're going to come up in a straight line this way. When you reach about where your forehead is, you're going to start to rotate, turn, and bring it up above your head. It should be like the roof on a house. And it's not in front of you, it's above your forehead. When you change to the other arm, this one's going to come down and this one's going to come up at the same time, and they exchange places. And then this one's going to rotate while this returns. And again, you aim to that same spot, like the roof on a house, this way. That way, anything that strikes you hits and deflects and falls off, rather than brute force on brute force. So let's start again, starting with your right arm. Up and rotate. And then try your left. They exchange, retract, and extend. Let's try again. Very good. And one more time. Good. Okay, now from here we're going to do inward block. Take and come back to your basic position this way. Start with your right arm again. Bring it up, palm facing out, arm straight. And I want you to swing it in from here across your chest. Up and in this way. Okay, now use your other arm. Bring your left arm up. And then as this extends, this retracts. Nice and slow. Try again. Up and in. Extend and retract. And one more time. Up and in. Very good. All right, return to here. An outward block now is going to scoop and return to the same position that inward block wound up being at the end. So if I inward block, I'm here in front of me. And if I outward block with that same arm, I wind up in the same spot. So if you see just this part, you would never know which block I did. Okay, starting with your right arm, come down, make a fist, scoop across your chest, and block away from you, out. Okay, now take your left arm, bring it out, and it's going to go on the outside of this arm, and they're going to scrape against each other. Return as you extend. Now try the other arm. Leave this here, bring this arm out, scoop, scrape against the outside, return as you extend. Very good. Now this arm, down, out, scrape, and one more time. Very good. Okay, now the last block is downward block. This is for kicks. It's going to block anything low, anything that comes here or low, or even across your abdomen. And what you're going to do on this block is you're going to take your right arm, come up to your opposite ear this way, or across your chest. This is an easy way to remember it as well. Take your right arm, touch, down. Now you're going to use your left arm. Leave this here, take your left arm, cross, and then this retracts while this extends. Retract and extend. Now try again. Touch, leave this here, retract and extend. Try again. Touch, down. And again, touch, down. And again, touch, down. Very good. Okay, relax for just a second. Now, when you mix your blocks together, when you do, say, an upward block followed by a downward block, they interact in certain ways. So if you noticed each time you blocked, one was retracting, one was extending, but they all had their own kind of, their own way of doing that. So like outward block, they scraped against each other. Inward block, you left your arm out and it retracted as this extended. Downward block, you left your arm out here. And upward block came up before blocking. So when you go to interact with each other with the different blocks, they all do that as well, but they do it in their own way. So let's start and let's go through them in order. Upward, inward, outward, followed by downward block. Just in that order, just for right now, and then we're going to mix it up in a little bit. So let's get back into that horse stance. Okay, chamber your hands, start with your right arm, my left arm, and you're going to go upward block first. So up, and then into position. Now inward block, you leave this here while you bring your inward block up, and then this retracts while this extends. So you're upward blocking, bring this up, and retract and extend. Now outward block is next. Now this is the same as what outward block was because your arm was already in the same position. So you can bring it out, scrape against the outside, into position. And then whenever you're doing a downward block, you want to return to this downward block position with your opposite arm. So this arm that's out is going to go down while your other arm comes up across. So this is the blocking arm. This is the other arm. So you turn it down, bring this up, and then retract and extend just like we did before. Now again, we're doing upward block, so you're going to go to this position and then bring it up. Retract and extend. Let's go through those in order again. This is upward, inward is next. Now outward. Now downward. And then we repeat the cycle, upward, inward, outward, and downward. Okay, let's do the same thing, but start with the opposite arm. Okay, starting with your left arm, my right arm, upward block. And then inward block, you leave this here, in. Now outward. And finally, turn, touch, downward. Let's go through them again. Upward, inward, outward, and downward. Very good. Relax your legs. Now finally, the last thing we're going to do is mix all of these together, and I'm just going to give them to you in random order. There's no specific order here. I want you to experience how each block interacts with each other block. So hopefully we'll hit them all. Practice on your own and see if you can do this smoothly. And remember that you're always switching arms. So it's going to be, we're going to start with the right arm, your right arm, my left arm. And then we're just going to go right, left, right, left, right, left. Okay? So horse stance, chamber your hands, right arm first. We'll start with inward block. Inward. Now let's do upward block. Now let's do an outward block. Let's do a downward block from here. Let's downward block again. Outward block. Upward block. Inward block. Downward block. Outward block. Downward block again. Inward block. Upward. Inward. Downward. Downward again. Upward. Outward. Downward. Outward. And inward. Very good. Relax. Great job. If you need to practice that again, go ahead and rewind it. Start from the beginning. Go nice and slow. Some of these can be very tricky, especially the downward block where you're switching arms. It's easy to get that confused. Take your time. Go from the beginning. And then if you want to challenge yourself, if that's too easy, then go ahead and do the same thing we did at the end, but do it yourself at a faster pace and see how you do. Let me know. Thank you.